Also, just before we get started with today's episode, I would like to present our sponsor. Just kidding. I wish.
I wish.
Leonidas Chocolate from Belgium. If you are ever in the market of looking for a new platform to talk about your stuff, I am your girl. I will die by these chocolates. Like, I got these for my birthday.
She's just talking to the chocolatiers in particular.
One of my very, very good friends, shout out Lucy, who lives in Brussels with her husband, came to stay with me last night before her conference in Milan. And she brought these as a birthday gift because, yes, everyone, I am now part of the 27. No, God, I can't say I'm part of the 27 club because that means something else.
Yikes. Wow.
I just got really scared. No, rockstar year, guys. I am... No one ever told me.
Rockstar without the 27 club.
No one ever warned me. I mean, I had a sort of like foreshadowing experience when Lexi turned 27, but no one ever warned me that 27 looked this good and felt this good. Just saying. Honestly, Lexi, I saw it, I witnessed it, but you didn't tell me, and I'm kind of glad you didn't. It was a very pleasant surprise. We're 24 hours in. I love this. By the time this episode comes out, it'll have been probably like
a month.
A few good weeks after my birthday's passed, but
yeah, that's for sure. But you'll be looking even better by the time it drops then. That's how that math works.
That's how that works. But these chocolates are incredible. Leonidas chocolates from Belgium. I have no words. If I could marry an object, this would be it. There are a couple other objects I would consider marrying, but chocolate has to be in the top 3.
I was going to say, if there's one thing I know about you, it's that you love, with a capital LOVE, chocolate.
Lexi does know me, you guys. Lexi does know me. As we discussed in our last episode, I don't know how much of that was going to get cut out, but we did recently make mood boards for each other, and I have to say,
yeah,
Lexi absolutely nailed mine. I don't know how much of that conversation is going to be edited out of the last episode.
TBD, probably a lot.
Probably a lot of it.
Probably all of this too. If we're
anyway. Frankly, first I'd like to welcome our residents back. Welcome back, listeners, residents, however you like to be labeled, to our last installment of our plastics season. It has been quite a ride. Ari speaking, hello, and I'm joined here today by my co-host Lexi. Say hi, Lexi.
Hello, that's me.
Lex, what do you have to say so far as we enter our very last episode of this season? What are your thoughts? How do you think this has gone? What are you thinking about plastic so far? Like, let's talk. Let's have a quick little catch up before we get into today's episode.
I've had a lot of thoughts throughout the preparation, recording, and now that we're at the tail end of the season, all of that in retrospect, like, how do I deal with this information myself? Because if you've listened to the last 4 episodes, not including this one, then you'll know that it is an inescapable truth that plastic is within all of us. So I've been trying to figure out how do I, one, keep my sanity, and 2, what am I going to do to try and reduce the amount of plastic that I am consuming, both literally, internally, and also just in the items that I use day to day. And those are like the 2 things that I think have kept me the most grounded, if grounded is even the right word to use for that. But what about you, Ari?
I'm feeling very similar. This whole experience has just reminded me that there's always so much to learn, and there's always more we can do.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for not blaming individual consumers for this issue. However, I do realize that there is a lot we can actually do as individuals, like understanding that there is a lot of work that needs to be done before it gets to like the corporation level or it gets to the government level. So, like you, I'm starting to notice a lot of things about my day to day. Again, last episode, I think I even mentioned, um, I started altering things that I do in my day to day life, throwing things out that I was using because I just kind of spooked myself, honestly, after all the research with everything we've discovered. And already, I mean, you and I have always been quite aware of this problem, but just all of just the flood of knowledge that we've gained from doing this season so far has really challenged me as well to see what changes I can make at home. I've thrown out, like I told you last episode, all of my, thrown out, no, I ceased using immediately all of my nonstick pans, for example,
Yeah.
any plastic kind of food container or bowl, plate, anything like that, utensil, like I've started to reevaluate all my cosmetics, and I saw how much of that was put in plastic, and I'm slowly trying to replace all of that with things bottled in
Yeah.
other materials like glass or steel. But it's no easy feat. It is
No, it's not.
it has been challenging, but I'm grateful to know, and I'm looking forward to the transition because I think it's exciting, and I'm excited to feel like I'm doing my part and also be just healthier because it really is gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, even after all of the research that we've done, I still keep finding myself asking like, is this plastic safe? Like, can I continue using it? Or is this something that I really should be worried about sloughing off its microplastics into insert whatever
Yeah.
it is? And I think that is going to be moving forward after this season, that is going to probably be where I put a lot of my time. Like, I know if you're heating something up, like if something's exposed to heat and it's in plastic, that's a no-go, right? Heat, bad for plastic. But if it's something that's just like a cool storage container, that's usually okay. If it's something that is a harder kind of plastic, I think I haven't personally looked into this, but I know there are some plastics that are great for reuse
Mhm.
as long as it's not holding things that you're going to consume. But
Right.
yeah, TLDR, wow. If there's
Well,
just so much more, like you said, to learn about all of this.
I've also become really inspired by our last episode that you led us through, with activism and grassroots campaigns, and knowing that so much can be done on that level has really inspired
Yeah,
me to
me
see
too.
what kind of things I can do in my community or what kinds of things I can start at the level that I'm at in
Yeah,
getting some changes done and making some movements about this. I can't say I've particularly gone very far, but the research has started and I'm excited to see where it can go. And I know that my community, my friends are interested, which I feel
that's
like
good.
is a great starting point. So I'm really excited to see what kinds of things we can do together.
I love that. Very cute.
Yeah. So, guys, throughout this season, we've been sharing some very harsh realities, as we've just admitted, about the plastic industry. We've gone over the history. We've gone over how we've polluted our planet with it, how it has even infiltrated our bodies and affected our health, to the political and social movements that are getting us off the ground to remedy our damages. But today, in particular, I'm over the moon because I'm going to walk you through what the future of plastic could look like if we actually do this right. We're talking alternatives, innovations, solutions, and the bright possibilities of our future as we transition away from plastics. I'm so excited to tease the question, what if we get it right? In full Ayana Elizabeth Johnson fashion. That is a March book club shout out. So please read it if you haven't. Information about it on our website. But Lexi left us off on a call to action in the last episode to scale up our solutions to the plastic industry. And I'd like to turn the mic over to Lexi to see if she would care to refresh our memory quickly.
Sure. So there's four big things that we're remembering investing in better waste management infrastructure, supporting the use of bioplastics like Solubag that we talked about last episode,
Yep.
and compostable alternatives, continuing to push corporations and governments toward sustainable action, and last but not least, arguably the most important piece of all of this, culture change. That's us. That's like when you say grassroots, think you, think your family, culture change.
Culture change. That is correct. Um, as a quick recap, we've discussed plastics at length in our previous episodes of this season. So if you want to be fully caught up with the infinite problems of plastic, and why we need to change course, like yesterday, I highly suggest you check out those episodes before continuing. But as a quick little recap, though, to help this episode flow a little bit, here's the Reader's Digest version of what we're dealing with. We've built a world on convenience, but what's the real cost? Well, longevity. Plastics don't biodegrade, not in a time span that is comprehensible on the human timescale, anyways. The complete saturation of pollution in our oceans, the harm to wildlife, microplastics in our bodies, and the corresponding health issues that result from that. Fossil fuel dependency, remember that plastics are petroleum based. And recycling plastic is pretty much a complete fail. Only about 9% of the world's plastic actually gets recycled, according to the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Plastic production continues to rise despite all of this, and there's little mention of plastic reduction in global environmental pledges by governments throughout the world. Most movements are happening at the grassroots level. Does that about sum it up, Lex?
Yeah, it does. No notes.
So, just yikes, let that marinate for a second. So, what's the future of plastics? We know that we need to change something here. I mean, many things, but bottom line is we want a future. I don't think there's any controversy about the following facts. We want a future with breathable air, clean water, pretty views to awe at, beautiful oceans, healthy ecosystems, biodiversity for things like medicine, and future generations of humans that aren't diseased and plagued with the health conditions that result from microplastics in our bodies. We need to consider the future of plastics. A different future, rather. So, in my opinion, we have more than enough doomsday hypotheses, okay? We've all seen The
Yeah.
Day After Tomorrow. We've all seen Wall-E. I mean, you've even heard Lexi and I speak at length about what our future could look like if we don't make some changes.
Yeah.
Frankly, we're already living some of those horrors. Microplastics in our bodies, in the placenta of newborn babies, landfills growing to the size of mountains filled with plastic that was promised to be recycled, but never was.
Question mark,
Ocean
question
gyres
mark, question
with
mark.
plastic mounds larger than the size of Texas, just floating around and breaking down into harmful and toxic microplastics that enter the marine food chain. Corporations refusing to take responsibility for the monstrosity of plastic that they produce. And to boot, little to no government push to regulate all of the above. So, if you've joined us throughout this season, you've heard it already. You already heard it. I don't need to go into the apocalyptic future that we could be living if we don't do something about this. I want to tell a story instead about what happens if we get it right. And Ayana Elizabeth Johnson, if we ever get the pleasure of your viewership of this episode, please know that you inspired this. So, Lexi, are you ready for a little story time?
Yes.
What if we lived in a world that was free of single-use plastic. Can you see it?
Yes, I can. Blue sky is abundant.
Blue skies abundant. You wake up in the morning. You make your coffee, which was packaged in paper or some algae-based plastic alternative. You pour the grounds into the machine that is made from steel and glass, some recycled plastic for the buttons, and press the start button as you prepare your mug, or maybe it's your steel to-go thermos if you're heading off to work soon, and relish the familiar smell that fills all of your mornings. You head to the bathroom to get ready. You brush your teeth and do your skincare, all of which is packaged in glass bottles and containers. You finish your face cream that morning and set the container aside so that you can send it back to the manufacturer to refill the product for you as the company embraces full circularity and responsibility for the materials they produce. You get dressed in clothes that make you feel good and are good for your body and your skin, made of fully natural materials like organic cotton, silk, linen, wool, hemp, cashmere, bamboo, or alpaca fur, rather than polyester and nylon. You head into work on the bus or train, listening to this awesome podcast by these two amazing girls called Hotel Earth, and you wonder for a moment if they're single because, wow, they are some of the most incredible women you've ever heard in your life. Whilst daydreaming about Ari and Lexi, you remember that you need to order something online and you complete your order. The digital receipt confirms that it's shipped in paper packaging. It's bottled in glass or some other promising natural material like mycelium, and it reminds you of their refillable program and buyback guarantee for when you finish the product. You get off the train or bus and start walking the rest of the way to work, and taking a deep breath of fresh air, smiling, knowing that there are no incinerators anymore burning millions of microplastic particles into the air, completely saturating it with toxic and deadly materials. And the air you're breathing is actually clean and fresh. You walk into the office and congratulate your coworker on her new pregnancy, feeling so grateful that we live in a world where corporations started taking responsibility for their waste and governments began regulating plastic pollution to know that her child will be born with no microplastics in the placenta and a promising future of a cleaner and healthier world. Since our oceans are no longer contaminated with microplastics, your sushi lunch that you've opted for today is guaranteed plastic-free, and you get excited about your upcoming summer trip to the islands because the marine ecosystem is finally in balance and the oceans are more beautiful than ever as they flourish with biodiversity. The economy is absolutely booming as we've embraced circularity and alternatives to plastics. Hundreds of thousands of new jobs have been created to keep the cycle functioning. People are healthier, happier, and more connected, sharing common goals of maintaining this utopian balance. Can you see it?
Literally, where do I sign up?
Hotelers.com, Hoteler360.com.
Ari, like, bravo. Brava? Whatever.
Brava.
Bravo.
But I'll take either.
No, that
We're
was
gender fluid around here.
We are, and we support people and their pronouns. I'll call you whatever you would like. But no, it's crazy to sit here and imagine that future. I feel like it's not. No, why does none of that sound crazy? Why does none of that sound crazy? It shouldn't. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox. You mentioned in your optimistic narrative that we need alternatives to plastics to make this work. Most of the time, we can just remove them from the equation, but if the instances that we really need a plastic replacement exist, like, what are our options? So, bioplastics, innovations, right? Like,
Yep.
The answer to that rhetorical question is not nothing, is not more plastics. It's that we have other options. And not to go on a complete tangent away from plastics, but Let's recall a time when we didn't have some of these things. Like paper towels are a relatively new invention. Do you need paper towels? No. I won't say that about toilet paper because please, for the love of God, continue using
That's
that.
one
But
thing. That's one
anyways,
thing I can't get behind not using that. Please flush that down the toilet. No one needs
sorry.
some sustainable I mean, I'm sure there's sustainable types of
No,
paper
there
that
are
we could use.
sustainable.
Yes. But
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
need like reusable toilet paper,
No, no,
please.
no. Well, anyways, I'll get it. We're being silly, but no, I mean, seriously, bioplastics are materials. I think we've talked about them a little bit before, but they're materials that are made from biological materials rather than petroleum, which is what 99% of plastic, I think, is based on right now is petroleum.
Yeah, yeah. And you touched on bioplastics actually in the last episode a little bit.
Right,
So I mean, we're going to get a little bit more into it today, but there are a lot of alternatives available.
right. Like PHA, which is polyhydroxy alkanoates, if
Yeah,
I
that's probably how
could
I'd
get
say
the
that.
phonetic of that one. That's a bioplastic produced from microorganisms, starch-based alternatives, algae-based materials, hemp-based materials. Like,
They
you've
exist.
got options.
They exist. We've already got some options, but what else needs to happen? Like the options exist, but there clearly needs to be some more room for shifting to happen. So, as Lexi mentioned in the last episode with her IKEA shout out, and I hinted to in my What If We Get It Right story, it goes beyond making replacements for plastics. That's not going to solve the problem. I mean, it'll solve some problems on a level, but we need to address a few other things as well. For starters, the amount of plastic that we produce and the amount we use. Like, I'm glad we're finding alternatives to that, but we still need to solve that amount problem. Like, it's not like it just gets solved. Like, you found an alternative to plastic that's biodegradable and you can replace all the plastic we're using with it. We still have like a production problem.
Yeah.
A lot of the plastic,
Good point out.
most of the plastic that we receive as consumers was plastic we did not ask for, was plastic we did not order. Packaging for goods, to-go materials for food and drinks, etc. Think about it. If you order something online and it gets shipped to you, all the wrappings and styrofoam peanuts and plastic linings for it was all plastic you didn't ask for. You asked for the product. How they package and send it to you was out of your control. You didn't ask for any of that. Literally, no one asked for all that other stuff. So let's address that to start. Okay?
Can I, and a point there, just as like an insert, when you end up with all of that plastic as the consumer, what do you do with it? Now what? Especially, let's take it a step further, depending on where you live, like there might not actually even we know that recycling is not all it's cracked up to be. So I'm not saying like, oh, if you have a recycling program that suddenly makes it better. But let's just say you don't even have the separation. It's all going straight to the landfill. Like all of your bio waste, all of your plastic waste, all of every other waste is all single stream going to a landfill. All of this crap now you are responsible for. I certainly feel guilty when I get a package that has plastic that I didn't ask for in it, and I know there's nothing I can do to put it back
No,
into the waste stream properly. Sorry,
no,
continue.
don't apologize. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you ask for a product that you need. Maybe you're ordering your vitamins online, or maybe you're ordering, I don't know, a new bra. It's Valentine's Day. I don't know. I don't care. Like, my point is, you wanted the bra, you wanted the vitamins, you
Mhm.
wanted the Game Boy. Like, I don't know what you wanted. God, what era am I living in? Um, did I just say Game Boy?
I miss my Game Boy. That was so much fun.
I was a Nintendo gal, I think. Or Shannon and I had the Wii. Oh man,
I
I would be
loved the
wrecking
Wii.
her in tennis. Bye.
If anyone wants to get me a birthday gift next year, I would love a Wii, a Nintendo Wii in the
Okay,
Mario Kart game with the wheel,
good to know.
please.
Good to know.
Thank
Hey
you.
people, reminder, you can buy refurbished stuff for Lexi. She does not care and probably prefers it to be
Who's
refurbished.
working off of a refurbished laptop right now?
There you go. There you go. Look at her go. If you're watching on YouTube, she's adorable. She just posed for y'all. So, Lexi, I'm glad you brought this up because this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You order something that you need, and maybe it's not even something you ordered. Maybe you actually went to a store to pick it up. Again,
Mm.
half the time it's like put in something crazy that you didn't ask for. And it's the same with food and beverages. You go to the coffee shop. Okay? You just want coffee. You didn't ask for all the plastic lid and that plastic lined cup and that sleeve. Like, you didn't ask for all of that. Like, what are you supposed to do as the consumer? In this instance, you either choose to get coffee or you don't, because you're either going to get coffee with all that stuff or you're just going to opt out and you're just not going to get the coffee. So it's plastic we're not asking for. And this is brought up in the What If We Get It Right book. This is one of the points in the book that just like it slapped me across the face. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is so accurate. It's like, and as Lexi pointed out, what do you do with, as the consumer, you didn't ask for all that stuff, so you're not even sure how to dispose of it. Like, that wasn't your responsibility. Your
It shouldn't be
responsibility,
your responsibility.
and it's not supposed to be. As we'll discuss later, um, that should be the responsibility of the producer and the manufacturer. That should not be the consumer's responsibility for what they should be doing with that extra crap that no one asked for. So, circularity, baby, is my next point. Back to the IKEA example from last episode and my utopian vision of a plastic-free world. Lexi, would you care to fill us in here about what I'm referring to?
Oh, I'd be elated to. We've talked about this, but IKEA, right? Remember that? The shout out? We need corporate responsibility here, specifically. You produce it, okay, well, you take care of the mess. Simple. It's like when a child spills something, or as an adult, if I spill something, it's my responsibility to clean it up. If my cat spills something, I also have the responsibility of cleaning it up. But
Cats
that's
don't
not the
have
point.
opposable thumbs. I get it.
Exactly. But this is a simple concept that we're all very familiar with. And how do you regulate that procedure? Government intervention. Your vote matters. We say it all the time. I'm sure you're sick of hearing it, but truly this is how we have that kind of accountability. It doesn't come from nothing. It comes from culture shifts and the people that vote people into office. Because also your consumer dollar matters. That's another way that you are basically casting a vote in favor of something when you spend your money. And this is where the buyback programs and refill programs really come into play. Like IKEA as an example, when you're done with the furniture, IKEA will literally buy the old stuff back and repurpose the material to make new products. And this is because they've also manufactured the products to be able to go back
Yep.
into the stream of commerce,
Good
right? Like
point.
this is all very intentional. It's not an accidental like, oh, we'll take it back because it just no. No, they are producing it
Yep.
with the intention of being able to get it back and then put it into something else to sell later. And this is a great example of how a company is embracing a circular business model rather than a linear one, which is what we're all so familiar with. Refill programs operate similarly for beauty products, household products, even food products like dry rice, beans, things like that. Some companies are now offering refill programs where you can either send the package back to the manufacturer to be refilled or order refills without a new package. It just gets sent in like a
Mhm.
paper packaging that is like without the fancy bottle each time.
Yeah, so examples of this, I actually have 2 subscriptions to, like, hygiene and body products that I'm subscribed to. I don't know about you, Lexi. I don't know if you've tried either of these, but Seed Probiotics and, Wild Deodorant. So both of these are, like, not sponsored, but please, actually,
Yet.
if you're interested, like, yeah. But both of these are subscription services. So my probiotics arrived to me with, okay, let's start from the beginning. With Seed, when I signed up, they sent me the glass bottle with the probiotics in it, and then it came with instructions like whenever you're ready for your refill, you order the refill and it gets sent to my house in a fully paper packaging and compostable packaging without the bottle. I keep the bottle. They literally say, don't throw out this bottle. Keep this bottle because you're not getting another one. You know, they warned me, and they send me the refill in paper. It's super easy. And Wild Deodorant does something very similar. They send you the OG container, and you kind of are like subscribed again to refills. So they send you refills however many weeks you want to span it out for, but they'll send you refills automatically that are just sent in paper, like paper packaging. And it's all sealed and safe. Like, you guys don't have to like freak, but like, I mean, this is what we're talking about, like, of a vision of a new world where it doesn't have to be done the way we're used to. This is the kind of culture shift. So I am a modern girl, okay, and I'm taking all my vitamins and I'm wearing my deodorant just as everyone else, but I'm doing it with less packaging and less plastic involved, and everything's fine. So
So far, so good.
so far, so good. I love Seed and I love Wild, and just like gotta give a quick shout out to Wild. Like, they just have the most beautiful packaging, like that OG package that they give me, and the smells are just so yummy. Anyway, and they also have like a
writing
lot of
this
like
down.
non-toxic like ingredient pledges and stuff. Anyway, great. Both of these are great brands, but this is what we're talking about, like, for what that vision could look like for the future. It's really not so far out. Okay, like, I'm not saying don't use the things you use every day. I'm not saying to stop wearing deodorant. I'm not saying to stop buying beauty products. I'm just saying there are ways that at the corporate level things can be changed. Like, that was a business model decision that these people made. That these businesses made, sorry. All businesses technically could do something similar. We as consumers need to decide to start supporting those endeavors. So what's next, right? We already have seen a few glimpses of what's next, but what's still holding back full adoption of these alternatives / ditching plastic altogether? I don't know about you, Lexi, but I know that people like to say it's cost and infrastructure. I don't know if you've heard other excuses. These are the two that I've heard. Cost, infrastructure, and like just convenience. They, all rotating between these three things. Have you heard
I'm going
any
to
other
add one
ones?
more.
Go
I
ahead.
think ignorance is the last one, and not
Okay.
like people just, because people don't realize that there are alternatives and that there's another option, it's internalized. They believe that it can't be done.
Well,
So it's just like a lack of awareness that the options are out there, I think, too.
Yeah, and that brings me to my point. So people like to say that it's cost and infrastructure. I actually think it's more of this. I think it's more about scalability and public awareness. I just don't think people
Wow,
know.
did not see that coming.
Yeah,
Damn.
I just don't think people know. This
I love when we're on the same
genuinely
page. Look at that. Brainwaves.
brainwaves. I see a Instagram clip coming from that. This genuinely could be really, really good for us. We've talked about why in the previous episodes, but let's take this report as further evidence. In May of 2023, the Kenya-based United Nations Environment Program, aka UNEP, released its Turning Off the Tap report to present economic models and concrete practices for cutting off the flow of plastics produced and turned into pollution. The report, which provides a sort of roadmap for businesses and governments to reduce plastic waste by 80% by 2040, that is quite the goal.
That's dramatic.
came out ahead of a second round of international negotiations held in Paris at the end of May and early June of that year. The UN launched this series of talks to create legally binding agreements for governments to end plastic pollution, or at least to get close. And before I continue, this is what I like to hear, legally binding agreements. I'm so tired of hearing, oh, we pledge this or we promise this. No, writing, lawyers get involved. It's legally binding. To reach this goal, the UNEP promotes the development of a circular economy for plastics, a system for minimizing and extending materials uses for as long as possible, potentially forever, as long as that product is being produced, right? Putting a twist on the 3 R's of reduce, reuse, recycle, the UNEP calls for the elimination of unnecessary plastic production, followed by the acceleration of 3 market shifts. The first, reuse, would promote reusable options, such as packaging take-back programs. The second, recycle, would seek to remove fossil fuel subsidies and make plastic recycling easier and more profitable. And the third, reorient and diversify, which covers the replacement of plastic products such as plastic wrappers with alternatives made of paper or other materials. I'm music to my ears. Although the report authors admit their proposals will require an upfront investment, okay? Conservatives, fiscally conservatives, economists, this is
Hold
for
your
you.
breath. It's gonna
Hold
be
your
okay.
breath. Hold your breath. Although the report authors admit their proposals will require an upfront investment, they claim the shift to a circular economy for plastics will lead to overall savings of 1.27 trillion US dollars, factoring in costs and recycling revenues, plus 3.25 trillion in avoided health, climate, air pollution, ecosystem degradation, and legal expenses. Oh, and creating 700,000 jobs as well.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Oh, and
It's
before we continue, so sorry to interrupt, but before we continue, Lexi, do you remember that you sent me a video or a meme or something on Instagram of how much Elon Musk takes or makes from the American government? Okay, what was it, like 8
that was
million
not
a
a
day?
meme or a joke. It was through his government contracts. It's some absurd
It's
amount
like
of money.
$8 million per day, people. So I don't want to hear about this
Even per
upfront
year
investment.
would be egregious. Even per year would be egregious.
So when people want to start coming at us that we don't have the money for these kinds of upfront investments, I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. We have the money. It is being allocated poorly. That's all.
I have no notes on that, and it's we will pay for this. Let me add one more thing.
Please.
We will pay for the cost of plastics one way or another. We're either going to pay for it because we get our act together and we have this upfront investment, which will pay itself off in more ways than just by money, or we will pay for it with our lives. That plain and simple.
Plain and simple. I mean, it says it right there in the report that we're looking at 3.25 trillion US dollars in avoided health, climate, air pollution, ecosystem degradation, and legal expenses.
Yeah,
Like,
because we pay for that. Because we will pay for that.
That's how
we will
we're
pay for that.
paying
That
with
is
this, people.
guaranteed. Yeah, no, and maybe that's not like a per country. That might just be a global number. I don't know. I didn't personally read the report, but regardless, need I say the whole thing about costing our lives thing again? Like, anywho, all of this will not be possible without the required behavioral shift. And honestly, I am seeing it more and more, not only in my own personal circles, but just in the people around me, which gives me a lot of hope. And we need to get used to the idea of life without plastic or life with ser- seriously reduced amounts of plastic. There are going to be things that are not single use that don't fall into this category necessarily that will still be around, obviously. And we're not calling for like doctors to stop using rubber gloves. Like there will still be plastics in our world. What we're calling for is a reduction in the things that we don't need to use
Yep.
plastic for.
Thank you. Well, actually, I'm really glad you've stated that so clearly because Lexi and I are not unreasonable.
No,
We
I'd like to
know,
think we are very reasonable people.
I think we're very reasonable people. It's not that plastics don't have a place. Um, I am not a medical professional. I should get my medical friends in on this, but maybe we can even, talk to them as an aside. But I know that there are places for plastics. I also know that
Yeah.
the plastic industry is more than single-use plastics. A lot of things we use are plastics, but we use them every day. They're durable plastics, different grade. Like, okay, get it.
Like we were talking about at the top of the episode. There's a
We are,
difference.
yes, there's a difference. And I still think there's a future where none of that exists. Um, I don't think that's the immediate future. I don't think that's the immediate future. And I think that we can do a lot more to use recycled materials for those types of plastics. When it comes to medical stuff, I mean, please, like she said, keep using your latex and rubber gloves. Like, what do I know? But it's the stuff we don't need.
Yeah. And some people will ask, can we really go plastic free or do we need a hybrid solution? And Ari and I are of the opinion that it will end up being a combined effort of cultural shifts away from plastic habituation as well as functional alternatives. Like plain and simple. That's what the reality of the future would look like. And as we approach this transition, we really need to ask ourselves throughout it, are we just putting a new label on the same problem or are we truly changing the system? Like, let's continuously do a vibe check as we go down this path of progress.
I am a big fan of the vibe check, personally. I mean, it's true. I mean, as I said at the top of the alternatives discussion, it's beyond finding replacements and alternatives. We need to actually ask ourselves, like, what's required for actual system shift and actual change, because just replacing plastic with a biodegradable alternative isn't really solving the problem. We're still creating materials that don't really need to be made. I mean, if they do, please find like, again, if we need plastic, please use an alternative, like whatever. Okay, fine. But again, there's been a lot of instances where an alternative isn't even necessary. We just don't need it at all. So, some final thoughts here as we wrap up this episode and this season. What are some key takeaways? Plastics. I'm laughing at this thought, but plastics are a problem. No, but we're not without hope and we're not without power. I hope the two ravishing creatures in front of you, whether we're in your ears or you're watching us on YouTube, have been inspiring enough to deliver that message without any uncertainty. Solutions? Thank you. Solutions exist, but need collective action from us, the voters and consumers, from corporations to take responsibility and embrace circularity, and from governments to enforce the necessary regulations.
And we want to encourage all of you listening and or watching to explore plastic-free alternatives in your daily life and ask us for tips. If when in doubt, like go to your community, come to us, we will help. And share yours. More importantly, like if you find a solution
Yeah.
that works, share it. Tell people about it. Brag about it.
Yep.
Make a freaking TikTok channel about it. Like for
Tell
God's
us.
sakes,
We'll
people
share it.
will
Hell.
love that. Yeah, exactly. We love it, and we love to hear, honestly, from all of you. It makes our day. And we also need you to support policies and brands pushing for sustainable change. Put your dollar where your values are. And lastly, like us, we all just need to stay curious. And we need to keep questioning convenience culture, not only in the plastics realm, but in every area of our life.
I think that is my favorite sentence from this whole season. When we're thinking about the shift, think about that convenience culture. Like, as I was explaining, for example, with my deodorant, um, I actually experience zero inconveniences, for example, by having my refills being sent directly to my house, programmed exactly for when my deodorant is going to run out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do. And another example, just along the convenience line, that's not necessarily plastic related, but is petroleum related. Consider the convenience of your transportation. Is it really more convenient to drive your single person car and sit in traffic? Or is it more convenient to ride your bike or walk or take the bus if you have the option? So just a holistic convenience look.
refer back to the "what if we get it right" story that I told earlier in this episode. Whenever you're feeling like you need a little bit of inspo, there's tons of material in there.
Honestly,
That all came from the noggin as well. I would just like to I don't know, we maybe even get, the Academy involved for that creativity. Um I'm happy
someone
I'm
get her an
happy to
Oscar.
yeah, just get me a little, or like, I'm also cool with like a Nobel Prize for literature, or anything will suffice, really.
Why
Um
not both? Why limit yourself?
yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. Um guys, that is a wrap. Oh, no pun intended. That is a wrap for our plastic season, guys. Yay! Standing ovation for the two, again, ravishing creatures in front of you or in your ears. As always, thanks for listening. We would love to hear what you guys think about this season. If you guys learned anything new, if you guys are going to try anything new, if you guys have any questions or got inspired by something, please reach out to us. This season was really important to us. I hope it was important for you too. We both learned a lot.
Yeah.
Check out the contact us page on our website to get in touch. Hoteler360.com in case you forgot, or send us a DM on Instagram at Hoteler360. Please, of course, check out our other stuff in the works. We have a weekly catalog that we post on our blog every week. We have book club that we would love for you to follow along and join
And
us.
this past book, What If We Get It Right by Ayana Elizabeth Johnson, seriously, one of the best books I've read in a long time.
She's so inspiring. It's making me envision a future that I actually want to live in. So thank you, Ayana Elizabeth Johnson. Again, if you ever stumble upon this episode, you should know that you're incredibly inspiring, and we both love you dearly. Of course, so check out book club. Absolutely, we're always going to be featuring educational reads, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, but it's always for the bigger purpose of connecting and learning together. We also have
Yes.
our YouTube channel, so please go check that out. And of course, like, follow, subscribe,
Subscribe.
put on notifications, all those things. Sign up for our monthly newsletter and more. We are full. We are full of content and great ideas. So all information can be found on our website. Again, that is hoteler360.com. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe to this podcast. Follow us on IG and YouTube, and rate us, leave a review. All of those things, it helps us out a lot, and we appreciate it greatly. Finally, if you like our stuff, please consider becoming a patron. We work our butts off for this platform. It would be It would mean the world to us to get some extra support if you can manage it. So, more information on that in the Support Us tab of our website. Thank you all, and we will be back very, very soon with another season of Hotel Podcast. Ciao for now.